Welcome to my channel. Hi everybody, welcome to my channel and to Vlogmas Day 21. Today we are going to take a few minutes out to examine the very sad and tragic cold case of the vanishing and expiring of little John Benet Ramsey. I probably may be finishing off the discussion later on at home this evening. I am in the middle of looking for cookie decorations. Yes, still looking for them. And I haven't found the right colors. So I'll probably be stopping off, if not for a peppermint mocha, to look at some cookie decorations. But for now, I'm just going to try to get into the story of John Benet Ramsey. John Benet Ramsey was born on August 6th, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia, and was the younger of two Ramsey children of Patsy and John Ramsey. Now, John Benet's older brother, who was 8, I believe, or 9 at the time, his name is Burke. And Patsy Ramsey, John Benet's mom, absolutely doted on her. And she entered little John Benet in various different child beauty pageants in Boulder, Colorado, where the little girl won titles such as America's Royal Miss, Little Miss Charlevoix, Little Miss Colorado, Colorado State All-Star Kids, Cover Girl, and National Tiny Miss Beauty. John Benet's active role in beauty pageants and Patsy's pageant mother behavior, allegedly, were reported by the media after the crime. And what I mean by that is that it did attract negative attention because of what happened with John Benet. And I don't want to put my own ideas and thoughts into this, but I believe that the Ramseys adored their children and had absolutely nothing to do with any of this. They may have had some ideas, but they have absolutely no responsibility in what happened to the little girl. During the 6 months leading up to her December the 25th situation, there were around 100 burglaries that went down in the Ramseys neighborhood. And so that's just to put that out there. And that was something continuous and ongoing at the time. And so in 1997, 6 months after John Benet's death, the Ramseys moved to Atlanta after a summer retreat in Charlevoix, Michigan. Now, John Benet's mom, Patsy, did pass away at 49 in 2006. She was so young, guys, and she had developed ovarian an illness, and she could not overcome it. So, what happened to little John Benet? Well, John Benet vanished late on December the 25th in the later evening, and she was found the next day on December the 26th, 1996, in her family's Boulder, Colorado home. Now, a little context. The Ramseys were booked to travel out of Colorado that day into Miami for a vacation. And so they were all excited. and they were packing and getting things ready the night before, and they had been dining at a friend's house the evening before as well. And so, although I have read about very disturbing circumstances that kept popping up and led to the little girl's demise on the 26th or the 25th, I'm not going to include those, but if you are interested, you can do this research on your own. I just want to stick with the bare facts and try to keep this vlog short. So, John Benet was found after being noticed as missing. She wasn't in her room in the morning. She was finally found on December the 26th, 1996, in the lower level of the family home. And the thing is, guys, that when the parents noticed that she was gone, they called the police. And so the police showed up and did a preliminary search, but they didn't check all the rooms because the rooms had latched locks on them, whatever have you. I don't understand how those rooms came to be locked after the intruder left. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So she was found missing. The police were called. And then at 1 p.m., before she was found, a detective asked John Ramsey and a friend, Fleet White, to search the house for anything that the police may have missed. So the police were not sure that they had checked every nook and cranny. And so Fleet and John did begin their search in the basement level, and they had gotten not too far into the search when John opened one of the rooms and he found his little girl lying. Well, at the time he didn't know if she was transpired or not, but she was pretty stiff. I recall reading that her arms were raised like that, almost as though in a prayer position, and her hands had been tied. So what happened was, he picked her up. John Ramsey was so overwhelmed and overcome with grief and shock that she was lying there on the floor that he picked her up, guys, and he carried her up the stairs. And so that drew a bit of suspicion, since John Ramsey therefore contaminated the crime scene unknowingly. Benet's mouth was sealed. Her lips were sealed with duct tape, and there was a nylon cord wrapped around her wrists and around her neck. The same type of cord, and her little torso was covered by a white blanket. And so, yes, John simply picked her up. Can you imagine finding your child in that position in a dark room in your house? He picked her up and rushed her upstairs, which was obviously not the thing to do. However, the crime scene was therefore contaminated, and the critical forensic evidence was greatly disturbed for the future forensics team who had yet to arrive. There was a weird ransom note written by someone and left under the staircase. Each of the Ramseys, that is Patsy, John, and Burke, provided hair, blood, and handwriting samples, and they were pretty cooperative. John and Patsy also participated in a preliminary interview for about 2 hours or more. Little Book was subjected to interviews as well, approximately 2 weeks after his sister passed away. I just want to interject here right now, before I forget, that Little Book did mention in one of his interviews that he was arguing with his sister, and he struck her. The way that I saw it in the interview, he was trying to replicate his actions, and he actually hit his sister on the head, but it was investigated, and Burke has never been a suspect. However, his parents did become suspects. Now, the autopsy revealed that JonBenet was, she expired by strangulation, and she also had a skull fracture. So that probably was a very deadly combination for a little 6-year-old child. And so she was 6 at the time that this happened. And so it was, there was no evidence of a conventional physical attack elsewhere, although the idea of an assault could not absolutely be ruled out. And even though there were no body fluids found on the little girl, there was evidence that she had an injury in one of those areas, and a cloth had definitely been had wiped an area clean. So even though that evidence was gone, there was an indication of what probably might have happened to the little girl. There's also evidence that a paintbrush was used for some sort of assault on the little child, and at the time of the autopsy, a pathologist recorded that the bristle of the paintbrush would have been part of that area that actually touched her, but it was missing, guys. And the paintbrush was part of Patsy's collection of art supplies that she kept in the bathroom. Now, they have never found about 1/3 of that paintbrush anywhere. Most likely, the criminals are harboring that evidence as a trophy of some kind. That's my best guess. Autopsy also revealed that a vegetable or fruit-like substance, which could have been the pineapple that JonBenet ate before all this happened, it was still in her stomach, in her digestive tract. And photographs taken when JonBenet's body was actually found the same day, the photographs show a bowl of pineapple right on the kitchen table with a spoon in it. And so, when they were questioned, however, neither John nor Patsy said that they could remember ever putting that bowl out on the table for JonBenet. And so they never fed her the pineapple. But what happened was the police had nothing else to go on, so they did a test of the bowl, and they found Patsy's fingerprints on it. And you know what, guys? I would say if they didn't, that would be indeed very strange, because who's the lady of the house who's going to be putting away the dishes and washing them? And whoever took down the dish from the cupboard most likely had gloves on and just left Patsy's DNA right there. Many years later, in 2003, forensic investigators managed to extract enough material from a mixed blood sample found on John Benet's panties to establish a proper DNA profile. And so from 1996 to 2003, or rather 1997, there was no proper DNA profile established. And so it was found that the DNA did belong to an unknown male. And this DNA excluded the matches of each of the Ramsey males, John and his son Burke. So it was an outsider, an external person. We don't know who it is. We still don't know who it is. And so this DNA was submitted to the FBI's database, and this database contains over 1.6 million profiles. But the sample did not match any profile in it. And so in October 2016, another report said that new forensic analysis with more sensitive techniques revealed that the original DNA contained genetic... Hold on. The DNA was found to be not one profile, but two. So two other people besides the Ramseys were involved in this horrific accident. It wasn't an accident, but we don't know initially what did happen to cause that skull fracture. And so the DNA did not belong to the Ramseys. So we know that now. And it's a shame that the Ramseys spent so many years suffering for that. And I don't want to talk anymore about that. As far as theories go, there are two proposed primary theories about the little girl's cause of demise. Well, we know physically what the causes were, but we don't know how it came about. According to the family member theory, John Benet was killed by one or more family members. Now, not necessarily the Ramseys themselves, but maybe extended family members. This is where the detectives were leading before those two DNA profiles had been established in 2016. So, wow, a great many years. Is the intruder theory, where it alleges that an intruder entered the scene and committed the crime. Obviously, the perpetrator entered because it was sometime before midnight, but it was quite late at night, and little John Benet could not have been out and about late at night. But she was out and about during the afternoon, riding her new bicycle, and she was outside for a good part of the day riding her bicycle. And so it could have been anywhere, anyone who might have seen her. Maybe it was someone she knew. Probably it was someone she knew. We still don't know. Before the DNA profiles of two external men were established, the Boulder, Colorado police initially concentrated almost exclusively upon the parents, John and Patsy Ramsey. I guess their logic was that whatever happened to her, it had to have been the fault of the parents because they weren't watching her. Well, how do you watch somebody when you're asleep? It's a really controversial issue, isn't it? And so, according to a retired FBI profiler, it is a 12 to 1 probability that it is definitely a family member or a very familiar caregiver involved in the homicide of this child or of any child. That is in general. And so that's so sad, but that's the way it goes. And the police saw no evidence at all of a forced entry, but they did see evidence of staging of the scene, such as the ransom note, which was a fake anyway, because whoever wrote the note knew that the child was already transpired. And, they did not find the Ramseys very cooperative. And so I would imagine because they probably found blame in, for instance, Patsy for her fingerprints being on the bowl that were in the kitchen that she cleaned every day. It's kind of, I would say I would have been afraid probably to cooperate too. No matter what they said, they would have been pegged as guilty. The family theory proposes, furthermore, that Patsy would have struck John Benet in a huge fit of rage after a bedwetting episode, which is so typical for a 6-year-old, and probably strangled her to cover up what had transpired. Probably, but it to me that doesn't make sense because even a stage mother would not go through all the trouble of training and nurturing her child to be a beauty queen and pampering and probably even spoiling that child and then doing that to her. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see the Ramseys as a violent family at all. Supposed that Patsy hurt her further by mistakenly thinking that she was already dead, and in fact she probably wasn't. So I'm not sure where the police were trying to lead with that. It is kind of a very, very complex and far-fetched scenario to have parents themselves involved. More than likely, if it was a family member, it would have been someone who was there on an extended stay for the holidays maybe, or maybe staying nearby in a hotel. We don't know. We don't have those facts. We don't have any information on that. We do know that John Ramsey had a previous wife and family, a previous marriage, and he had grown children. I don't know anything else. I really don't. And so I'm just throwing things out at you to try to establish the fact and the context that we don't have all the necessary facts in front of us. And there's probably a good reason why the family confidentiality is being kept under wraps, because then I think the media probably would have gone crazy and had a field day with it. And then all those other family members would have been found guilty too. So yeah, that's so sad. Absolutely, John and Patsy did not have any known history of uncontrollable fits or rages of anger. And John Benet's brother, Burke, many years later said, with respect to this theory, that As kids, we never got spanked, nothing of the sort, nothing even close, or not even laying a finger on us, let alone, you know, the horrific violence that was thrust upon this little 6-year-old child. The intruder theory, early persons of interest included a neighbor and a reporter, a local reporter, whose then girlfriend, I shouldn't laugh, reported him as a suspect. Why would she do that? Something must have been wrong. And so also another suspect was the family housekeeper, Linda Hoffman, and a man named Michael. I'm not even going to say the last name because he was just a suspect, and I don't want to say that name. So Michael passed away in an apparent attempt to take his own life very shortly after John Benet's death. And so maybe he was just a little strange and people were going to point fingers at him and he couldn't handle the stress. Who knows what other issues he might have had, but that's sad too. And I feel bad for people who were speculated as guilty by police, because it's not a good situation to be in. Now, Wolf was the reporter who propounded that the Ramseys themselves carried out this vicious act against their little girl. And so, of course, there was no evidence at all, not even DNA, to support that very outlandish theory. And I suspect it is just as the Ramseys insisted, that somebody, probably someone who came in and waited for the Ramseys while they were still out at dinner at their friend's house, or who had a way of getting in, or maybe came in after the Ramseys did and came in unnoticed. We don't know. But there are probably a couple of reasons why there was no signs of forced entry. This person knew what to do. Probably this person was so familiar with the house and the Ramseys that they knew, this person knew exactly how to get in without anybody noticing. I'm almost sure that that's probably the only way that they could have gained access to the home, was while the Ramseys were out. Guys, that's pretty much it for the story of John Benet. And I did manage to finish that. Maybe what I'll do a little later on is just have you peek in on how I decorate my cookies, if I can ever find the decorations. Anyway, I'll catch up with you just a little bit later. So guys, they did not have green in this format here, but I was told that if I add this to sugar it will be great. So we'll have to see how this is going to work. Hi guys, I'm home now, and I did pick up a few decorations for the cookies, thank God. So maybe now we can get started on the decorating. I hope that you got something out of that story about Benet Ramsey, and it did not have much of an ending at all. It's still an ongoing cold case, but it's one of the saddest things. It's probably as world famous as the McCann case. Both cases are so disturbing and so tragic. And so the only thing is, the McCann case, it occurred in the month of May. And with Benet, it occurred right on Christmas Day, right on Christmas night. So that's what's so tragic about it. Hi everybody, so I'm getting ready to start decorating the cookies. Now the dough is raw, and I will decorate the cookies raw. I want to show you the decorations that I picked up recently, and so hold on a minute and I'll go grab them. So I grabbed one of these, and it's like a powder, and it's not exactly like the decorations that we're normally used to, but if you add it with sugar, it becomes like a fine powdery, you see that there? And that's just about the only color that I didn't have. And so what you do is you can mix it with icing sugar or sugar, and realistically it would not have shown up as well with brown sugar, which is what I use. I'm not gonna ever use white sugar, very honestly. So I picked up a package of this, and that is how I mixed it in, and we'll have to see how this goes. I also picked up some pixie dust or angel dust, whatever this is, and I was really looking for that color as well. And so I'm gonna go and grab the cookie dough from the refrigerator and get started. And before I forget, I'm preheating the oven to 375. So it's pretty pliable. I would say this is perfect. I'm not going to be using any gloves because I'm not giving this batch away. I'm simply going to keep them here. So it's not such a big deal. I'll be eating my own bacteria. I'll be rolling out the cookie dough and then cutting out the shapes. Now I'm going to be coating the surface of the cookies with egg. Well, I think that's about all we have for you tonight. Thank you for watching me decorate those cookies. I hope that they turn out wonderfully. Actually, this year I'm decorating them before they go into the oven, so I'll have to show them to you at the end of this vlog once they're done, and hopefully I don't burn them. So I will see you tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 22. Bye. I'm not going to be using any gloves because I'm not giving this batch away. I'm simply going to keep them here. So it's not such a big deal. I'll be eating my own bacteria. I'll be rolling out the cookie dough and then cutting out the shapes. Now I'm going to be coating the surface of the cookies with egg. Hi guys, well, I think that's about all we have for you tonight. Thank you for watching me decorate those cookies. I hope that they turn out wonderfully. Actually, this year I'm decorating them before they go into the oven, so I'll have to show them to you at the end of this vlog once they're done, and hopefully I don't burn them. So I will see you tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 22.